Hey there, in today's video we're going to be giving you a quick homestead update to show you what we've been up to. If you're new to our channel, my name's Keri and my other half Douglas. We are homesteading here in Southeast Arizona. We sold our house and we pretty much sold everything we owned back in May of 2022. And we've just recently, very recently, in the last 2 weeks, moved on to our homestead property and we're getting things going. So if you're interested in homesteading and all things about homesteading, like permaculture, growing food, making a business, all the things that have to do with homesteading, you'll want to follow our channel. So make sure and do that so you don't miss anything. All right, so we just recently moved onto the property and we were having some trouble having water delivered onto the property. We actually had a big water truck that got stuck, and they were supposed to be coming and filling our cisterns up like the week before we were moving out here. We moved out here on September 12th, and we actually finally got another water truck to come in, filled our two 1,550 gallon cisterns. So thank goodness we have water. Doug, while I was visiting with family, he was on his own for about 10 days. And he didn't have water for part of that time because we were having a hard time getting the water truck to come out because the washes kept running and we were just having trouble. So it's been great to have water. It's necessary, and of course we're still talking about whether or not we're going to drill a well and how that's going to look and how we're going to pay for that. But for now we have water, and that's great. So because we have water, that's enabled us to start planting some of the plants that we actually brought from our house in the Denver, Colorado area. We actually lugged around these plants for almost 2 months, and actually 3 months. And it's been great because we can now water them with our cistern water, and it's not such a big deal to have them in the ground now. So we've been spending some time getting these plants put in. Doug actually has done most of this. He bought a handheld auger that has his auger bit is about that big around. It's a handheld gas-powered auger, and he has used that to kind of bust up the dirt. And it's been a whole lot easier for him for planting. If he had to dig it by hand, it would be tough because the way the dirt is here, the first, I think 6 or 8 inches maybe, is pretty hard packed. Under that, it's this beautiful dirt. And you can see in this hole, we've got some mushroom compost on top of it, but underneath the dirt is it's rich in minerals for sure. So we're gonna see how everything does. We got these type of agave that are supposed to do real well here. They get pretty big, so we tried doing those. And then he's just lining the holes with rocks. And then you can see over here on this one, after he did that, he staked the plants up and put some natural mulch around them that he just collected from our property. And then this is actually the remnants of the original canopy that we had put up. It was the green one, I think it was green and white striped. I can't even remember now, but we had a big wind come through, a big windstorm come through last week, and it took it out. It ripped it really badly, and some of the poles were bent. So Doug actually disassembled it, and we're repurposing the poles. And then we'll show you how we repurposed the top, because we didn't want to throw anything away that we could use. So, and then he also put hardware cloth around this. I think that's, these little holes are about 1/4 inch, maybe 1/2 inch. And that's just to keep the rabbits out. And then the last piece to these little pits that he's used to bury, they're actually kind of concave in, and that helps with the water. So when we water, we just have to water the pit, and then the roots kind of go from there. Doug can explain that better than I can. But the other thing we did was we added these solar lights, and they're actually 60 lumens, and 60 lumens is equal to 60 candles. So it's pretty bright actually, and that is actually to try to keep the animals that would chew on these plants at night away. It's a deterrent. And then of course with the hardware cloth, we should be okay. We'll see how they do. But this is a pineapple guava, and this thing should do really good here. We're going to see what kind of fruit we get off that. It's supposed to be real good. We've got a few other of these pits here that he's dug. Actually, he's been pretty busy with his auger. This is a fig, and you can see he did the same thing here. He's got it staked up, and then we use those poles again to hold the hardware cloth up. He's got a light in there, and then of course mulch, and the mulch topping kind of helps retain the water. So that's pretty awesome. And then over here, Doug's gonna have to say what these are. There's an iris in the middle that actually, these irises came from the house that I grew up in. And I've been transplanting them into every place I've ever lived. And so we had a big chunk of these irises, and I think they're gonna do fine here. They're very hardy, and they're very heat tolerant, and they're pretty drought tolerant. So he's got 4 things in here. This is a little bit bigger pit. And then of course the light. This was the dog enclosure that we had bought for Zoe for when we were traveling before we settled here on the homestead, and we didn't know what to do with it because we just keep her tied up. We don't need to have this anymore, so Doug repurposed it to protect those 4 plants that are in there. Doug, do you want to say what those 4 plants are?
Gumi.
It's a gumi berry.
Yeah, it's a gumi or gomi.
Gomi, a gomi berry or gomi.
There's a goji berry.
A goji berry.
Pomegranate.
And a pomegranate. I think that's the pomegranate. Is that right? And this is the gumi. And then that's a goji berry down there. Those should do good here too. And then of course the irises. They look a little sad, but we think they'll come back okay. And then a few more pits over here, and then he did the other thing on the other side. So the other thing we did, and actually this was Doug's idea. He saw this idea somewhere, but we picked up a bunch of pallets. Some are in great condition and some are not. They're okay. We're just gonna take them apart and reuse them. But this is a way that you can store your tools so that they're upright and they're easier to get to and they're not like messy looking. So what he did was he just drove in 2 of our 6.5 foot T-posts and then just slid the pallet on top. So of course you want it with the open end on top so that you can slide your tools in there. And then we also double purposed this and used it to tie our bungee cord, our remaining canopy that we have. And then I think on the back he's got some stuff, so he put some screws in there to hang other things on too. It just kind of neatens it up. It makes it a little easier to get to the tools. We've just been doing a lot of projects. There's a lot to do. Of course, it's a little overwhelming sometimes, but one of the things that I really wanted to have was an off-grid laundry setup, and I've been working on that. It's not done, but you can stay tuned because I'm doing a totally separate video on how I'm putting this together and the technique I'm using for finishing it to keep it protected from the sun and the wind here. We've made some major purchases, like we bought these really cool sawhorses that you can use that are metal, and we think they'll hold up really well out here in the desert. They were not cheap. They were pretty expensive, but they're pretty heavy duty and pretty hardcore. I've already made good use of these. So, and then we've just been doing things around here. We put up some solar, everything is solar. So these lights right here, they're called, I think they call them Edison lights. Doug strung them up, and they go around our little seating area that we'll eventually have a little table in, but those are strung up. We also did some lighting. We'll walk over and we'll show you on our gate. We got the solar lights installed on the entry gates, and we've just been doing lots of stuff. So anyhow, let's walk over and we'll take a look at those driveway gates real quick. Okay, all right, this is another bed that Doug did kind of like on the other side. It was kind of cool because when we bought these agave, they had little babies. So Doug separated them out and planted them separately, and they should grow fine. So anyway, Doug's phone died, so we had to charge it up, and we're back. Anyway, this is more of the agave that Doug has planted, and they should be doing pretty good out here. And then, as you can see, we did finish the we're almost done with the gate. We did get the lights installed, and those are solar. You can see the solar panel on the very top, and they are 200 lumens each, which 1 lumen is 1 candle, so 200 lumens is 200 candles. And we got the hardware installed on the gates. Most of you know we have 2 entry gates because our driveway comes in and it wraps around in a big U. So this is our lower part of our property, and this is one of the posts that we're using. We actually just picked up the wood yesterday for the gate, and we're going to start working on that next. So stay tuned for that. All right, so that's about it for our updates, and it's good to be here on the property and finally being able to get to work, which is awesome. So thanks so much for following along today for the end, and if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. We always appreciate a like, and any comments or questions you have, of course, put down below, and we'll see you soon.